Hey, what's up everyone? Today's video, we have a very exciting camera to talk about. We're gonna be going over the GFX 100S. Now, just first thing I wanna mention, this is nearly a perfect camera. There's some slight things that aren't great with it, but I think this is gonna be the best still camera of 2021 and possibly in the years to come as well. Now, that's a bold statement, I know. But this camera, like I was saying, is phenomenal. If you know anything about the first GFX 100, the price point and the size of that thing is enormous. So medium format is something that is not for everyone, but when you shoot with medium format, you look at full frame a little bit differently. So the GFX 100 was starting at 10,000 US dollars. And it had basically its own battery grip on the bottom of it with a removable viewfinder. It was just humongous. This camera is very small in your hands. This honestly feels kind of similar to something like a 5D Mark IV or even, a 6D Mark II, like a full frame mirrored camera. So it's reasonable to carry around with you. And I mentioned earlier the GFX 100 started at 10,000 US dollars. Well, the 100S is retailing at 6,000 US dollars. Now, I don't want to say that 6,000 US dollars isn't, a lot to spend on a camera, but in comparison to what corners they did cut to make this, 4,000 US dollars, that's a very hefty price cut for the price you're paying for a medium format camera. And those corners that they did cut, we're gonna talk about here. So I mean, one thing that is not humongous is they did lower the resolution in the EVF. This one is 3.69 million dots. That's still plenty of resolution for myself, and a lot of people are saying that you can't even tell the difference really unless you're comparing them side by side between the 100 and the 100S. You actually do have a mode inside the EVF to where you can choose, you want like boost the quality performance with lower frames per second, or if you want to boost the frames per second and have a lower quality. Now, the user experience for this camera is something that I do want to talk about right out of the box. We got this camera sent to us with a very short period to film with it, so we actually do have to send it back today, but thanks to Matt with Fuji for sending us out his personal demo to be able to get this video recorded. Everything is very intuitive. There's not a lot of bells and whistles. There's not a lot of menus and sub-menus that you have to dive through. I mean, the first thing I did was I pressed my menu. I went to my image quality. I chose either 14-bit uncompressed RAW, compressed RAW. I'm deciding to shoot JPEG. Now, before I get all the backlash, it's just gonna be easier for me to edit and the file size is gonna be a lot more manageable. So I'm gonna choose to shoot in JPEG for today. You can actually choose as well in the menu your aspect ratio, so you have like 3:2, 4:3, 16:9, and the nice thing about this is it's not only telling you the aspect ratio, but it's also telling you the resolution you're getting. So when I'm at the 3:2, or it might be 4:3, but it's actually going to say I'm at 102 megapixels. If I drop it down to 60 or 16:9, then it's going to drop that to 70 something megapixels, which is really nice to have. And I thought that did come in handy as well. So menu's very, very easy to navigate. If you are a brand new Fuji shooter and this is going to be your first Fuji camera, it's not something that you're going to have to, get used to. It's very intuitive and it's right there. Ergonomics of the camera. So this camera right now does offer, Matt with Fuji did send it with this grip on the bottom that has an Arca Swiss plate. I'm gonna get back to that in a bit, but without the grip on there, this camera feels amazing in the hand. It's got a very deep grip on it. Your pinky doesn't tend to fall off. Now, I don't have very large hands, but I've seen other people with larger hands than mine talk about how this just feels amazing and it's not falling off on the bottom. All the buttons are very accessible, and there's not a surplus of buttons on there to customize, which I feel like is a good thing because all the buttons they do have on the exterior are the ones that you need as a photographer. We have our toggle on the back. We have our focus mode on the back screen, which is really nice because if you've shot previously with Fuji, their focus mode is actually on the front side of the camera, which didn't make too much sense. So it's nice to have it on the back side now to choose between either single focus, continuous, or manual. Another notable feature on the exterior of this camera is going to be its top display. So this is easy to toggle through the menus. It's got a button on the lower right next to it that toggles through. You can cycle through multiple displays. You can actually have a histogram on there, which is pretty neat. But I choose to have it to where I can see all my settings on the top screen. So if I do choose to shoot and look at the back display without all the info displayed there, I can see what settings I'm at on the top. So really great feature, and honestly it looks phenomenal, and it's just real future looking, I guess. On the top left side of the camera, we do have our control wheel, so we can choose C1 all the way through C6, which is really nice to have that many customizable features. And then we have our program, shutter priority, auto, or no, not auto, aperture priority, and then full manual shooting. And then right above that, we actually have a little toggle switch, which is really neat. You can choose between still and your movie mode. I don't see a lot of people buying this camera to be a primary video camera, but I think it's worth noting that if you do buy this camera, you're going to have a fantastic stills camera that is video capable. This camera is able to do everything your GFX 100 could do, but now this can actually record ProRes RAW files externally via HDMI. And our HDMI is going to be the micro HDMI, which not a huge fan of, but that is a feature that you are getting with the camera. Now, speaking of the micro HDMI, that's going to segue me into the ports that we do get on this camera. So on the left side, we do get a microphone jack and a headphone jack, which is nice to see. Right underneath that, we are going to get a USB-C, our micro HDMI port, and a sync port. And then on the right side, we are getting another port that's kind of hidden for a remote. On the right side of it as well, we do get our dual card slots. Now these are UHS 2 SD card slots. And speaking of card slots, you're gonna wanna definitely, I'm gonna recommend minimum a 128. I don't think 32 gigabyte or 64s are gonna cut it, unfortunately, for this camera. Another great feature that this camera offers, if you are coming from a Fuji X-T4, you're going to be happy about this. It is going to use the Fuji X-T4's battery. So much smaller battery, but don't be worried about the battery performance on this, because that battery is rated to give this camera 460 shots. Whenever they do those ratings, they're very conservative. You can obviously program the camera in certain ways to extend that battery life. So 460 shots with that small of a battery in this, that's great. And one little note that I do want to talk about, so Matt did send it over with this grip on the bottom. Now I think this grip is made by Fuji. I could be wrong, I haven't actually looked into it too much. This is a horrible design. And it's a horrible design for the fact that I can't get to my battery slot. It's impossible. I have to take this off to get to my battery slot, and if I'm shooting this all day, which I feel like a lot of people are going to be doing that, it's just another step that I have to do to get to my battery slot. Now, I could be, nitpicking here, but not a huge fan of this guy, and it honestly doesn't offer too much. It doesn't offer that much more grip than you get straight with this. Another external feature that's worth talking about is going to be the display. I don't entirely remember if it's the exact same as your X-T4, but we do get the multi-tilt. So on the back side, it is going to tilt up and down, and then it's got a little release in the middle to actually do it from the side. Now, I've always thought this would be perfect for like at the hip shooting. So if I don't have it coming out and I have it in this orientation, at the hip shooting, doing like portrait type stuff, I think that's perfect for that as well. And the flip around screen, I know I've always talked about how cameras should just include this. Well, I actually think this is a camera that should not include it for the mere fact that no one's gonna really be vlogging with this camera, handheld. So another feature. Another thing to talk about is we do get improved IBIS over our GFX 100. So Fuji is saying that that is up to 6 stops of correction without a lens that offers any stabilization. When you do pair it with a lens, you're just gonna get even more correction of stabilization. All right, next thing I do want to talk about is going to be the autofocus system in this camera. It is improved over the GFX 100 in my personal opinion. You are getting a medium format digital camera, and for the most part, the GFX 100 was a little bit slow. If you're in a studio situation, obviously that was enough, but this one has vastly improved on its autofocusing performance, and I'm really excited to test that out. I don't think that this is going to be, made for the sports photographer or, our wildlife photographer, but I guarantee you there's ways that you can make this camera work for you if that's what you're looking to do. Another feature we are getting in this camera is we are getting one more film simulation mode in this. We are getting the nostalgic negative look. That I feel like is a little bit more, it's less contrasty. It's bringing up the shadows a little bit and preserving the highlights, and it's just a fun look to have. So that is one more that we are getting inside this camera. All right, so that's about covers everything we're gonna go over for the GFX 100S. I am very, very excited to be able to shoot this. We're actually here with Ashley today, and we're at the Square in Georgetown. We're at District 6. It's a brand new bar that's opened up. So if you're in the area, please come check it out and support local. But let's jump right into it.
Got an appetite, let's bake ourselves a treat. What you've been mixing, serve it up the way you please. I love the way you shake, you stir, you...
One thing that I didn't mention earlier when we were talking about the 100S is the lens we're using actually is the 81.7. So this lens was also announced, I believe, the same time that your 100S was announced. So we're doing a lot of portraits today, and so far, I'm in love with it.
Oven up like 5,000 degrees. It's almost ready, we've been craving this all week. Baby, you want it.
So another thing that I just found out, and I'm not too sure if other Fujis offer this, but I know some Sony cameras have it very similar to their DMF mode, but when I'm engaging the autofocus, pressing, the shutter halfway, if I keep that held down and then I start moving my focus ring, it actually brings up focus peaking, and it's showing me like the minor adjustments I can make. So if for some odd reason, like I'm just trying to fine tune my focus, then you're able to do it with that. All right, so we just got finished shooting, so now it's time for our final thoughts on what we thought of the camera. Like I mentioned earlier, I stand by those claims. I think this is gonna be one of, if not the best still camera for 2021. I mean, having the large size sensor, having a reliable autofocusing system, some really nice glass on this paired with it, it's just a phenomenal camera overall. The size of it was the biggest thing that I noticed. So the GFX 50R, I believe, is the brick style one. That one's just not fun to hold in your hand. Then you have the 50S, which is just a real big, weird, clunky with the back screen coming out. And then you had the 100, which is just ginormous. So this one, ergonomically, this is the best one Fuji has made to date. Like I said earlier, this does feel like a 5D Mark IV, like a DSLR in your hand. So shooting with this all day is going to be a breeze, no problem. Battery life, I have no complaints there either. It is the smaller battery that we see in the Fuji X-T4. We've been shooting for a few hours just now, and I used less than half. I only had it charged to 70% at the time, and I'm still 2 bars left. So really good on the battery life. One thing that I found out while we were shooting was the focusing mode. I'm not too sure what it's called, so let me know down in the comments, but the focusing mode to where I'm half pressing the shutter and I'm able to make like minor adjustments, and that really is going to come in handy if there's something specific you're shooting and for some reason the camera just can't recognize our subject. So earlier that came really in handy when I was shooting. I took a few photos of this statue that we had, and it was kind of focusing on the back side of the hair on it because it can't physically see the face. So then I was just able to kind of adjust that and then got the spot of focus. So that's another situation where that would come in handy, or if I'm doing something like macro work, that would also come in handy as well. Really no complaints. The menus, of course, are very intuitive. The film simulations, they are just always fun to mess around with. Now today I didn't dive into any of those film simulations, just with shooting Pro via standard. But I mean, they're the company that, you know, made these films in the past, so it actually isn't, you know, real gimmicky like we see in other cameras as well that we just tend to never use. You're going to use those film simulations. So really happy with the overall design of it, the 102 megapixels, the large format sensor. I mean, this camera I am in love with. Am I personally going to purchase one? We'll see. $6,000 does seem a little steep for me, who doesn't shoot as much stills as I do video. So it doesn't make too much sense for me to get this. But if you are looking to get into medium format, this is the one to go to. If you are a very serious hobbyist, I can see you getting into this system, or if you're a professional. So this isn't for your everyday shooter, but if you're one of the two that I just mentioned, then this is definitely going to be on your radar. So other than that, that's going to bring this video to a close. I would love to hear all your thoughts and comments down below. Let me know what you think of this camera, if Fuji was doing something right, if they knocked it out of the park, or if there's some features missing in this camera that you would have loved seeing inside of it. So remember, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on our next video.